Man, I forgot I'm going to see some familiar faces.
You are going to see some familiar faces.
Your hair hadn't changed any, right?
I appreciate you saying so. Nice of you to notice.
Yeah, man. How's your golf game?
It's just as bad as it was last time we played.
Mine too. Good to see y'all.
Yeah, we've been saying that for every game. It's finally true. So I think that just that approach.
Dabo, in the Orange Bowl, you were the underdogs by many odds. The message to your team was that you were not the underdogs, and in fact, you were the team that should win that game, and you won. So what's the message this week going into the national championship?
Well, I mean, the message there was just, we may not be the favorite, but we don't see ourselves as an underdog. We think that we got a great team. I think that our guys have done a great job of embracing every role that we've been put in for the last 7 years, to be honest with you. That's why we've been so consistent. The only other team that's had 5, 10-plus win seasons, we're playing them, Alabama. So there's been a lot of consistency between these two teams, and our guys have earned that. Just for whatever reason, people are just noticing that this year. My point is we've played a lot of good teams. It's not about being a favorite or an underdog. It's about how you play the game, and our core values and things that we believe in, and things that we feel like help us win, are the same in this game as they were in all those other games. So just really trying to get them really focused on what we got to do to win and how we play. Just that was really all it was. Not get distracted by all that other stuff.
And what about now?
Same thing. This is it. We have a mentality every week that it's the biggest game of the year. People, it always cracks me up. Every week for us seems like this year it's been a trap game because whoever we were playing the next week, and then we win the game, and the next week's the trap game. But that's why I'm so proud of our team, because they really have embraced the mentality of, this is the biggest game of the year. And, I always tell people, if you don't think it's big, lose it, and you'll find out how big it was. So every game is really a championship game, and so you have to develop that mentality to be consistent. And the only way you have a chance to be a great program is have longevity with that consistency. And that's why we are where we are. And so it's really no different here. I mean, other than this truly is the biggest game of the year, because this is it. There is no other game next week, unless I can talk these guys into a 16th game with a scrimmage or something. But we're excited about it. We have great respect for Alabama. I mean, how can you not? I mean, they've been the standard in college football for a long time, and so our guys are just focused on trying to get themselves ready to play well, because that's what it's going to take. None of the rest of the stuff matters. I mean, can we protect our quarterback and block them at the point of attack? Can we tackle Henry? Can we pressure their quarterback? Can we cover? It's really the fundamentals of the game, and that's what we're focused on.
Dabo, I look forward to seeing Woody today. You guys go back a long time. What's the single biggest thing that he has done for you, meant to you, helped you with?
Well, I think first of all, just fueling my belief in myself. Going way back to when I was a player. Woody, if you know him, he's really not a man of many words, but he is so wise. And when he first came to Alabama, spring of '90, he was not my favorite guy because, I'd really worked hard and felt like I had kind of moved up the ladder a little bit, and now all of a sudden a new coaching staff comes in the spring of '90, and I'm kind of right back at the bottom of the totem pole, and he didn't even know, I swear he didn't know my name, and never said anything to me that spring. But what you don't know about Woody, what I didn't know about Woody McCorvey at the time, was he's always watching, and he's always paying attention. He is one of the wisest men I've ever known. And, we go on through the spring, go on through the summer, we get into that season. We started out 0-3 that season, of my sophomore year. You Alabama folks remember that very well. And we had a couple receivers get hurt, and I think we had a couple of guys that were struggling a little bit. And Tuesday practice, and I swear I hadn't said my name since I've been there, or since he had been there. And I was over Coach Oliver, just running the scout team, and he called me over to the offensive field and just literally out of the blue just said, hey, I'm going to give you a shot today. And if you do good, you're going to play this weekend, just like that. And, so 2 things from that. I always tell people, you never know who's watching. And so just be great at whatever it is you're doing. And then the second thing is be prepared for your opportunity. Even if it never comes, better to be prepared, anyway. And so, so from that point on, he just instilled this belief in me. He went out on a limb for me as a player. And for the next 3 years, it was just a great journey for me as a player and just being the best that I could be. And he always made me feel like that I was as good as David Palmer, even though for whatever reason they always put David in when it was time to throw it. But that was how he coached me, and that just fueled this. I already believed in myself, but he fueled that for me. And then same thing as I got into coaching, he was he was instrumental in me becoming a GA. And then when Coach Stallings hired me full time, Woody was the offensive coordinator, and Woody really wanted me to be his receivers and tight ends coach, and so he was instrumental in that. Of all the people he could have hired, I was 26 years old, but so he's just been an amazing mentor in my life for a long, long time. And when I got this job in 2009, he was offensive coordinator at Mississippi State, and I called him, and he wasn't sure if he was wanting to transition out of coaching at the time, but he'd had 2 bouts with cancer, and I just felt like that. In my mind, I felt like it was the right time, but I needed him a lot more to help me build and run a program than I did him coaching a position. I wanted him to help me coach the program, if you will. And he's just been amazing. Great mentor, father figure in my life, and again, one of the wisest people I've ever known. Say that again? No, they're very consistent in what they do. I think that Coker's played well all year. He's answered every challenge. When people have done a good job of minimizing the run game a little bit, he's made some big-time plays, big-time throws, and then he's got phenomenal skill outside. And he's thrown a couple balls in the double and triple coverage, and their guys are making plays. So he's a very confident player in his guys that he has outside. So, and then, they're built to run the ball. It's what they do. Great up front, physical. They're really a complete offense in every sense of the word. But, so yeah, no, nothing changed. I've seen Alabama a lot, and everything I saw in that game just kind of confirmed what I already knew.
Dabo, what player on this year's team most reminds you of you as a collegiate, and why?
Oh, probably Hunter Renfro, although he's faster than I was. He definitely does not have better hands than I did, but he's faster. But probably Hunter, just because he's, a little undersized. He's probably about 175, and I was probably about 180 when I was playing, and he's tough as nails. Maybe kind of surprises people a little bit from time to time. I wish I played in this offense, but I'd probably say Hunter. I think he's a guy too that takes pride in his relationships with everybody on the team, and that was something I always took pride in as a player. I love my teammates, and I love getting to know everybody, and really he's a guy that's very comfortable in who he is, and so he'd probably be the guy that I would say.
How would you describe yourself as a player, Dabo? What do you think got you noticed by Coach Bryant?
By Coach who?
Bryant.
Oh, Coach Bryant? I wish I'd gotten noticed by Coach Bryant. Man, I ain't that old. Coach Bryant was, unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to play for Coach Bryant.
Yeah, you were playing for...
I played for Coach Stallings. So,
that's what I meant. So.
Yeah, okay. Well, I just want to make sure. I'd love to, I wish he'd have come to Pelham, Alabama, Coach Bryant, to recruit me, but that didn't happen.
Gene did notice something.
Yeah, well, I think probably just persistence, perseverance, toughness, work ethic, knowledge of the game. Those are probably the things that I tell everybody, you got to just be the best you can be with what you have. I wasn't going to I wasn't going to outrun Kevin Lee. I wasn't going to run by Antonio Langham, but that didn't mean that I couldn't be the best version of Dabo and my strengths, maximize my strengths, improve my weaknesses. So I think, just, again, toughness, work ethic, knowledge, those are the things that probably, got me noticed, by Coach McCorvey and Coach Stallings and, hopefully all my coaches.
Dabo, you have friends who tell you it's your destiny to one day be the head coach at Alabama. What do you tell them when they say that to you?
Yeah, I really don't ever say anything to that. I mean, that's a nice compliment that somebody would look at you and say something like that, I guess. But those people really don't understand what I do. Those are fans. They really don't understand, the job and the way it impacts your family and things like that. That's just not something that I think about. I get the question, and especially in this situation. But I always tell people never say never. But man, I love my job at Clemson. And what people don't understand is I've been at Clemson for 13 years. I was at Alabama I've been at Clemson longer than I was at Alabama. I was at Alabama 13 seasons, and I just finished my 13th year. I didn't get a 14th season at Alabama. I'm hoping I get a 14th one at Clemson. But I've been here a long time, and so I feel like that, I've been just kind of intertwined in the DNA of Clemson. And it's amazing that as many people have documented and talked about the ties of Clemson and Alabama. It's been a great fit for me, a great place to raise my children. And, the only thing I think about every day is how I can make Clemson better. And, so that's really it.
You said you didn't get a 14th season at Alabama. Is that a fundamental difference in the two programs, Alabama and Clemson? Is Alabama more pressure-packed, in your opinion? You've been a part of both of them.
Yeah, well, people have asked me that many times too, and I've always said that that's the difference. At Alabama, they expect you to win the national championship every year, and at Clemson, it's only every other year. So, I think both places are incredibly passionate. Alabama people would be blown away if they really knew the fabric of Clemson. And I have a lot of Alabama friends that have come to Clemson and they leave going, oh my goodness, it's a special place, and the passion is so similar. That's why I think it was such a great fit for me coming from Alabama. The expectations that were kind of just ingrained in me through 13 years of being in Tuscaloosa, and that daily grind, that expectation that, hey, we win, and when you don't, nobody's happy. So I was just used to that, and when I came to Clemson, I felt like that Clemson had the potential to be a great program again, but from a fan base standpoint, they've always thought they were a great program. And so it's fun to be able to live up to some of those expectations and be back in this situation and see our fan base, having that type of pride once again. But both states, very similar. There's no pro sports. It's Clemson, South Carolina. It's Alabama, Auburn. They don't like each other. It's every day, 365. And so a lot of similarities between the two fan bases and the type of pressure and expectations and all that. But people say the word pressure. I just don't buy into that. It's a privilege and a lot of fun to be able to lead this program.
With your background, how gratifying would it be for you to get the win over Alabama?
How gratifying? Are you kidding me? I don't care who we're playing. It'd be gratifying to beat anybody for the national championship. That would be a dream come true. I mean, that's what we're working for. We're going to win a national championship at Clemson. Hopefully it's Monday night. But if it's not, we're going to be right back here, gathered up again somewhere. Maybe not here, we'll be somewhere, because we're not going away. We have a program that's built to stay right here in the hunt. And I'm excited about that. But to be able to be in my first national championship and beat the University of Alabama, where I won a national championship, be pretty special.
How good of a pro can Shaq Lawson be at the next level?
How good of a pro? Would be as good as there is in the league. I mean, I think he's a first-round talent, and he's going to be a great player. When people get a hold of Shaq and they get to know him, he's just such a low-maintenance, guy. I mean, he loves to play, loves to practice. Just again, very coachable. Loves to study the game. He's a very smart football player, so he's got a really good future. I'm telling you, they're going to love him because, again, people look at him as a superstar player, but he's as low maintenance a guy as you'll ever coach.
For a guy like him in a setting like this, is it good to get the decision out of the way and not have it over his head when he's trying to get ready for a championship game?
Well, I mean, you don't have to, then because y'all don't ask questions anymore. Because if you don't, then everybody's going, are you going pro? Is this your last game? Is this, and that? So, yeah, he's been done with that for a long time, and let's go play.
Who's got better dance moves, you or Nick Saban?
Well, I mean, I don't know that we have enough video evidence to determine that, so that's hard to say.
You got some answer, you or Mark?
I can't answer that. I don't. I mean, you got to have a true evaluation. I'd have to be able to, assess his talent, and I haven't been able to do that.
Coach, I met with Coach Stallings on Thursday to talk about you. How much have you molded yourself after the example you set?
A ton. I spent 7 years with Coach Stallings, and he was a great role model for me. I always tell people, I really didn't know what I learned from Coach Stallings until after he was gone. And because that's really what I knew in 7 years, and how he ran the program and managed the staff and the practice schedules and just everything. Relationships with people, his involvement in the community, the type of father he was, the type of husband, the balance that he created for us as a staff, the balance that he created for himself as a head coach. Those were powerful things for me as a young man in this profession, and a tremendous amount. There's no doubt.
I also spoke to your former teammates, and they compared the 92 defense to Alabama's defense now. They say they'll still pick the 92 defense over Alabama's defense now. What would you say?
Well, absolutely. I mean, you expect them to say anything different? We all get better with time. There's no doubt about that. But as my answer to that is, I think time will tell. I think that you have more things to judge on with that defense. Obviously, that defense led the nation in, I think, everything. Different time, different styles of play back then. So it's hard to measure that. But I think one thing you can go back and you can look at is how many of those guys went on to the NFL, and I think eventually we'll know that with this Alabama defense. But they're a complete defense, just like ours was. There's no question about that. I mean, they're deep up front, fast, athletic. They got freaky linebackers, and they got guys that can play man and cover, and that's how we were built. They're not much different.
And the last thing